In this exercise, we are going to start with this sketch, and in the end, we will end up with this result. File, place exercise 16, click check template and place. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna draw the star right here. I go to star tool, I place the cursor inside, Shift and Alt at the same time, and I draw a star like this. I'm gonna swap fill and stroke, and I'm gonna turn the stroke to none. I'm gonna go to type tool, make one click here. I'm gonna choose Arial for the font, black for the font style, and font size 550 points. Press enter. I select everything and I write CR7. Selection tool, and I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna zoom a little bit. I go to rectangle tool, I place the cursor right here and create a rectangle just like this. Now I'm gonna click and drag all the way and around all the corners. I'm gonna go back to selection tool, select the 3 parts, and I'm gonna click here, make sure they are aligned. Now I'm gonna click on the text, right click and create outlines. Now we have 3 shapes inside a group. Right click, click on ungroup, and now we have 3 separate shapes. I'm gonna go back to rectangle tool. I'm gonna create a square like this. I'm gonna duplicate this using Alt. Select this square. I'm gonna click on gradient tool, and I'm gonna create a linear gradient by clicking this button like this. I open gradient window. I'm gonna double click and change the color to this dark shade of gray. Double click on this top, same thing. I'm gonna select the same color, dark gray. I'm gonna add a new stop right here, click, and I'm gonna choose the color white. I'm gonna move this gradient slider like this, and this slider like this. Now I'm gonna open the swatches, click new swatch, click OK, and just like that I saved the gradient inside the swatches. I'm gonna press Ctrl, access the selection tool, select this square now, and I'm gonna create a radial gradient this time. Click here on this button, open the gradient window once again, click on this top, delete. I'm gonna put the slider right here in the middle. I'm gonna double click here, I'm gonna choose this shade of blue, dark blue, and I'm gonna double click on this top and choose the black color. Gonna go to selection tool, I select the square, make sure you see the gradient in the fill right here. I go to swatches, I'm gonna do the same thing, new swatch, OK, and just like that I saved the second gradient right here in these swatches. I can delete this square, I no longer need it, and same thing for this square, delete. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna select this star, open the appearance window, I'm gonna go to the fill, click, and I'm gonna change it from black to blue and black gradient like this. I'll go to stroke and I'm gonna choose 20 points. And for the color, I'm gonna choose the gray and white gradient, and we end up with a result like this. I'm gonna do something else. Add new stroke. I'm gonna add a new stroke. I'm gonna change the color of this stroke to dark gray and the stroke weight to 30. I go from 20 to 30. Of course, make sure this dark gray stroke is under this gradient stroke. It's very important, so we can get a result like this. One last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a drop shadow to the star. So I have to select the star, go to appearance window, click here, add new effect, stylize, drop shadow, opacity 75, X offset 7, Y offset 7, and blur 30 pixels. Click on OK. And now we have this appearance. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna open the graphic styles. We can access graphic styles by clicking on this button, graphic styles, or you can go to window and look for graphic styles. So I open the graphic styles window. Now I'm gonna select the star, and if I click here, new graphic style, I save the appearance of this star right here in the graphic styles. I can either do that, or I can simply drag and drop, and just like that I can add a new graphic style. I'm gonna delete this one. Now that we have the graphic style, I can select all these letters, and just by clicking I apply the same appearance of the star to all these letters. I'm going to do the same thing here. Click, and I click on the graphic style, and just like this I applied the same appearance. One last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna write Cristiano Ronaldo inside this shape. I go to type tool, make one click. This is way too big, I'm gonna reduce it to 72. I select all the text and I'm gonna write Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm gonna select the text and I'm gonna choose this shade of gray. This shade of gray, and I'm gonna change the font also. I select the text, I go here, I'm gonna go to filters, click here, and if I click here, for example, serif, I only show the fonts with serif. If I want to deactivate the filter, all I have to do is click again, and now it's deactivated. I see all the fonts. I'm gonna click here, handwritten, and now I can only see the handwritten fonts. I'm gonna choose this one called Pristina, and I'm gonna increase the font size to 100. I make sure it's in the middle like this, in the middle of the shape. And one last thing I'm gonna do, I click on the text and go to effect, stylize, drop shadow. This time I'm gonna change offset, X offset to 0, Y offset to 0, and blur to 4 pixels. You can see what type of result we get, and click on OK. Now I go to layers window, I unsee the template, I no longer need it. And now the exercise is finished. You go do the same, and don't forget to save.